The electromagnetic storms of the Crimson Nebula churned with violent, unpredictable energy, casting ghostly crimson and violet hues across the obsidian hull of the Zilarian Imperial battlecruiser Dominion's Reach. Commander Krelax stood motionless at the central command platform, his scaled fingers hovering above holographic displays that pulsed with real-time galactic cartography. 37 standard cycles had passed since the Zilarian Empire's last significant territorial expansion. The bureaucratic leadership back on the homeworld grew restless, demanding new conquests to feed the insatiable machine of imperial progress. Exploration had become a political necessity, a pressure valve for a civilization built entirely on the premise of continuous growth and subjugation. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency, each movement calculated and precise. Holographic displays flickered with sensor data, star charts, and complex mathematical projections that tracked potential resource-rich sectors. Lieutenant Vex, a junior communications specialist with mottled green skin and cybernetic augmentation along her cranial ridge, monitored long-range communication bands with mechanical dedication. "Sector scan incomplete," she announced, her translator implant converting her native clicks and chirps into standard Imperial language. "Electromagnetic interference is disrupting standard scanning protocols." Krelax didn't respond immediately. His eyes, a deep amber with vertical slit pupils, studied the swirling cosmic patterns outside the ship's transparent aluminum viewports. The Crimson Nebula was unlike any region they had previously explored. Traditional Imperial survey methods seemed inadequate here. "Adjust quantum resonance filters," he commanded, his voice a low, gravelly rumble that carried the weight of centuries of military tradition. "I want a full spectral analysis of any anomalous energy signatures." The ship's advanced computational systems began recalibrating, quantum processors working at speeds that would overwhelm most biological cognitive systems. Zilarian technology represented the pinnacle of evolutionary engineering. Each system was an extension of collective imperial knowledge, refined through millennia of conquest and technological adaptation. Junior Navigator Raquel began inputting complex algorithmic sequences, his four-fingered hands dancing across holographic interfaces. Suddenly, a warning tone cut through the bridge's ambient sound, a high-pitched alert that meant something unexpected had been detected. "Commander," Raquel's voice carried a note of uncertainty, "I'm detecting a spatial discontinuity. Energy readings are unprecedented." Before Krelax could respond, the electromagnetic storms outside seemed to part like a cosmic curtain. Something was emerging. Something that defied every known parameter of spaceship design and technological capability. The vessel that materialized was unlike anything in the Imperial database. Sleek, angular, with lines that suggested both extreme speed and remarkable defensive capabilities. No recognizable propulsion system was visible. No standard energy signatures matched its configuration. Lieutenant Vex's communication systems suddenly crackled to life. A transmission, clear, direct, in standard galactic communication protocols, but with an underlying tone of absolute confidence. "Unidentified vessel, this is the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered a restricted navigation corridor. Identify yourself and state your purpose immediately." The bridge fell into absolute silence. Commander Krelax felt something he hadn't experienced in decades, a profound sense of uncertainty. The mysterious vessel hung in space, surrounded by dissipating electromagnetic tendrils. Its very existence challenged everything the Zilarian Empire understood about interstellar travel and technological development. No approach vectors, no standard hailing frequencies, just sudden, unexpected presence. Raquel's hands trembled slightly as he continued scanning. "Commander, I cannot categorize this vessel's technological profile. Its energy distribution is impossible." Krelax studied the unknown ship. Decades of military training and imperial conditioning battled against a growing realization. They had encountered something fundamentally different. This was not another potential conquest. This was a first contact scenario that would challenge everything the Zilarian Empire believed about its place in the universe. The electromagnetic storms of the Crimson Nebula continued to swirl, indifferent to the momentous encounter unfolding within their cosmic embrace. Somewhere between quantum probabilities and unexplored space-time, two civilizations were about to collide in a moment that would reshape galactic history. The transmission from the unknown vessel hung in the air, its implications reverberating through the Dominion's reach like a quantum shockwave. Commander Krellax's neural implants processed the message with lightning speed, parsing every nuance of the communication. "United Earth Defense Force," he muttered, the words feeling foreign on his reptilian tongue. No Imperial records mentioned a civilization called Earth with such a direct, almost confrontational communication style. Lieutenant Vex's cybernetic augmentations worked overtime, running linguistic and cultural analysis algorithms. Her display flickered with multiple potential interpretations, each more complex than the last. "Commander," she said, her voice carrying an unusual tremor, "the communication protocol is unprecedented." The bridge crew watched in tense silence. Imperial first contact procedures were meticulously crafted over millennia, a complex dance of diplomatic posturing, subtle threats, and calculated displays of technological superiority. This human transmission shattered every established protocol. Raquel's sensor systems continued to probe the mysterious vessel. "Energy signatures are unlike anything in our database," he reported, fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "Their shield harmonics defy our current understanding of quantum field manipulation." Krellax understood the unspoken implications. The Zilarian Empire had encountered countless civilizations, each systematically evaluated, categorized, and ultimately subjugated. This encounter felt different. The human vessel didn't just exist. It challenged, it demanded, it presented itself as an equal. "Prepare standard diplomatic response," Krellax commanded, though he knew the words would sound hollow. Standard responses had worked for centuries, a carefully crafted message that simultaneously offered diplomatic engagement while subtly demonstrating technological superiority. Lieutenant Vex began composing the response, her neural interface connecting directly with the ship's communication systems. Imperial language was a complex tapestry of mathematical precision and cultural nuance, designed to convey multiple layers of meaning simultaneously. But something felt wrong. The human vessel made no additional moves. It simply existed, surrounded by the swirling electromagnetic storms of the Crimson Nebula, its very presence a statement of confidence that bordered on arrogance. "Tactical analysis," Krellax barked, turning to his senior strategic officer, Sub-Commander Zorak. Zorak's holographic display erupted with complex threat assessments, weapon signatures, defensive capabilities, potential combat scenarios, each analysis more disturbing than the last. "Commander," she said, her voice carefully modulated, "their technological capabilities suggest multiple layers of defensive and offensive technologies we cannot currently comprehend." The implications were profound. Every conquest in Zilarian history had followed a predictable pattern: identify weakness, exploit technological limitations, demonstrate overwhelming force. This encounter threatened to shatter that entire paradigm. Raquel's hand suddenly froze over his console. "Commander, I'm detecting multiple quantum entanglement signatures. They're not just scanning us. They're analyzing our entire system's architecture in real time." Krellax felt something he hadn't experienced in decades: genuine uncertainty. The human transmission repeated, its tone unchanged. A demand, an invitation, a challenge. Imperial protocol dictated multiple response strategies: diplomatic engagement, calculated show of force, subtle technological demonstration. Yet each potential approach seemed inadequate against this unknown vessel that radiated an almost palpable sense of technological superiority. "Prepare secondary communication sequence," Krellax ordered, his voice cutting through the bridge's mounting tension. "Full cultural and linguistic analysis overlay." Lieutenant Vex's neural implants began constructing a response that would typically take standard computational systems hours to generate. Mathematical linguistics merged with complex cultural communication protocols, creating a message that was simultaneously a greeting, a territorial assertion, and a subtle probe of the human vessel's intentions. The Dominion's reach hummed with potential energy. Weapon systems remained at standby, quantum disruptors charged but not targeted. Shield harmonics adjusted to create a display of defensive capability without explicit threat. Outside, the electromagnetic storms of the Crimson Nebula continued their chaotic dance, indifferent to the momentous interaction unfolding within their cosmic embrace. Two civilizations, one built on millennia of calculated conquest, the other a complete unknown, hung in a moment of suspended possibility. Commander Krellax watched the human vessel, understanding that whatever response they crafted would reshape not just this encounter, but potentially the entire future of galactic civilization. The bridge of the Dominion's reach transformed into a crucible of tension. Commander Krellax watched as the human vessel maintained its impossible stillness, a predatory silence that spoke volumes about its technological sophistication. Sub-Commander Zarok's tactical display pulsed with increasingly complex readings. "Commander," she announced, her voice a careful blend of professional restraint and underlying concern. "Their scanning techniques are penetrating our defensive systems at a molecular level. They're not just observing. They're deconstructing our entire technological infrastructure in real time." Imperial protocol demanded an immediate response. Centuries of galactic conquest had taught the Zilarian Empire that hesitation meant weakness, and weakness invited challenge. Yet every standard approach seemed woefully inadequate against this unknown human vessel. Lieutenant Vex's communication systems continued to analyze the previous transmission. "The linguistic patterns suggest a civilization that values direct communication," she reported. "No diplomatic obfuscation. No subtle threat matrices, just absolute clarity." "Raquel," the junior navigator interrupted with a nervous edge to his voice. "Commander, I'm detecting micro-adjustments in their vessel's quantum field generators. They're maintaining a perfect defensive posture without any visible strain." Krellax understood the implications. Most known civilizations would show some form of energy fluctuation during prolonged scanning and communication sequences. This human vessel operated with a level of technological precision that bordered on the impossible. The electromagnetic storms of the Crimson Nebula seemed to respond to the mounting tension, its cosmic energies swirling with increased volatility. Quantum disruptions danced around the two vessels, one a testament to imperial might, the other an enigma of technological superiority. "Prepare standard imperial engagement protocols," Krellax commanded, though he knew the words rang hollow. Standard protocols had worked for centuries, a carefully orchestrated dance of technological intimidation and calculated diplomatic pressure. Sub-Commander Zarok's tactical systems began generating potential conflict scenarios. Each simulation ended the same way. The Zilarian vessel reduced to cosmic debris, its sophisticated weapon systems neutralized before they could even fully activate. The human transmission repeated, a stark reminder of their presence. Final opportunity. Withdraw or face consequences. Imperial conditioning battled against a growing sense of uncertainty. The Zilarian Empire had conquered civilizations across multiple galactic sectors. They had reduced entire planetary systems to cosmic dust. Yet this single vessel radiated a confidence that suggested something fundamentally different. "Weapon systems charging," Raquel reported, his four-fingered hands moving with practiced efficiency across holographic interfaces. Quantum disruptors hummed to life, plasma torpedoes aligned in standard Imperial attack formations that had crushed countless civilizations. Lieutenant Vex's communication systems detected subtle shifts in the human vessel's energy signature. "Commander," she said, a note of genuine concern in her voice, "they're preparing defensive countermeasures unlike anything in our threat assessment databases." Krellax felt the weight of Imperial expectation. Millennia of conquest had created a civilization Built on the premise of absolute technological superiority, retreat was not just a tactical impossibility, it was a cultural anathema. The bridge crew watched in collective tension. Each member of the Zilarian Imperial Force understood the stakes. This was more than a potential conflict. This was a moment that would define the Empire's understanding of its place in the universe. Weapon systems locked, Raquel announced, his voice betraying a hint of uncertainty. The human vessel remained motionless, surrounded by the chaotic electromagnetic energies of the Crimson Nebula. Its very existence was a challenge to everything the Zilarian Empire understood about interstellar conflict, technological development, and the nature of galactic power. Commander Krellax made his decision. Imperial protocol demanded overwhelming force. Centuries of conquest had taught the Zilarian Empire that hesitation meant destruction. The human vessel had been warned. They had been given an opportunity to withdraw. Now, the Empire would demonstrate its true power. Fire, Krellax commanded. The Asterisk Dominion's Reach Asterisk erupted with destructive potential. Plasma torpedoes launched in perfect synchronization, quantum disruptors powered by generations of imperial technological innovation. A wave of cosmic destruction designed to obliterate any potential threat. The human vessel waited. Time seemed to fracture the moment the plasma torpedoes left the Dominion's reach. The cosmic void transformed into a canvas of destructive potential, quantum-charged projectiles, cutting through electromagnetic interference with surgical precision. Commander Krellax watched with the cold detachment of a veteran commander, expecting the typical cascade of system failures that would follow an imperial assault. Generations of conquest had taught the Zilarian Empire that resistance was futile, that technological superiority was an absolute concept. The human vessel moved. It wasn't a conventional maneuver. The term movement failed to capture the impossibility of what transpired. The U.S. Defiant seemed to ripple through space-time, its molecular structure dancing between quantum states. Plasma torpedoes, each capable of obliterating entire space stations, passed through seemingly empty space where the vessel had been milliseconds before. Impossible, Raquel whispered, his sensor systems struggling to track the human ship's trajectory. Sub-Commander Zarak's tactical displays erupted with cascading error messages. Quantum tracking systems, developed over centuries of military innovation, simply could not compute the Defiant's movement patterns. It wasn't just evasion. It was a fundamental reimagining of spatial navigation. The electromagnetic storms of the Crimson Nebula seemed to react to the conflict, cosmic energies swirling with increased volatility. Quantum disruptions danced around the two vessels, creating a complex choreography of technological potential. Defensive systems engaging, Lieutenant Vex announced, her voice carrying an unusual tremor of uncertainty. But the human vessel was no longer merely defending. As the Zilarian torpedoes continued their futile assault, the Defiant began a counterattack that defied every known principle of space combat. Quantum-entangled projectiles materialized from nowhere, their energy signatures so precise that they seemed to bypass traditional defensive technologies. These were not simple weapons. They were mathematical equations given destructive form, capable of striking with molecular precision. The first impact struck the Dominion's Reach's primary shield generator. Instead of a conventional energy discharge, the human projectile seemed to unravel the shield's molecular structure from within. Complex quantum harmonics dismantled generations of Imperial defensive technology in microseconds. Shield integrity at 63%, Raquel reported, his voice cracking. Molecular disintegration detected across primary systems. Krellax had seen planetary bombardments. He had witnessed the destruction of entire civilizations. But this was something fundamentally different. The human vessel wasn't just attacking. It was systematically deconstructing the Dominion's Reach with a level of technological sophistication that bordered on the metaphysical. Secondary weapon systems attempted to respond. Quantum disruptors charge, preparing for a last-ditch defensive assault. But before the systems could fully activate, another wave of quantum projectiles struck with impossible precision. Critical systems began to fail, not with the expected explosions or energy discharges of conventional warfare, but with a systematic, almost surgical deconstruction of technological infrastructure. Communication arrays compromised, Lieutenant Vex announced, her cybernetic augmentations struggling to maintain functionality. Quantum encryption systems are being rewritten in real time. The bridge of the Dominion's reach transformed into a landscape of technological apocalypse. Holographic displays flickered and died. Computational systems collapsed. The very fabric of imperial technological superiority unraveled before an enemy that seemed to understand their systems better than they did themselves. Captain James Harrison's transmission cut through the chaos. Clear, direct, almost clinical in its precision. Defensive systems neutralized. Prepare for immediate surrender protocols. Krelax felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries of military service, complete and total uncertainty. The U.S. Defiant hung in space, surrounded by the dissipating energy of its assault. No wasted motion. No excessive display of force, just absolute mathematical precision. The Crimson Nebula's electromagnetic storms continued their chaotic dance, indifferent to the momentous conflict that had just reshaped galactic understanding. Two civilizations had collided, and in mere moments, everything the Zilarian Empire understood about technological supremacy had been fundamentally challenged. Commander Krelax stared at the human vessel, understanding that this was more than a battle. This was a complete reimagining of interstellar conflict. The aftermath of the conflict settled like a quantum fog across the Dominion's reach. Emergency systems flickered with desperate, intermittent life, creating a landscape of technological devastation that defied Imperial comprehension. Commander Krelax moved through the bridge with a sense of surreal detachment. Holographic displays that had once represented the pinnacle of Zilarian technological achievement now hung like shattered memories, their complex quantum matrices reduced to meaningless fragments. Lieutenant Vex's cybernetic augmentations worked overtime, attempting to reconstruct even the most basic communication protocols. "Commander," she reported, her voice a mixture of professional restraint and underlying shock, "our entire technological infrastructure has been systematically rewritten." It wasn't destruction. Destruction implied random chaos. What the human vessel had done was far more precise, a surgical deconstruction of imperial technological paradigms that revealed the fundamental limitations of Zilarian understanding. Raquel's sensor systems continued to probe the mysterious damage. Each analysis revealed layers of complexity that challenged everything the Empire believed about technological warfare. "The quantum entanglement signatures," he muttered, "they're not just weapons. They're information vectors." Sub-Commander Zorak approached with a holographic data reconstruction, her typically stoic demeanor fractured by genuine bewilderment. "The human vessel didn't just disable our systems," she explained. "It comprehensively mapped our entire technological architecture in microseconds." The bridge crew watched in collective shock. Centuries of imperial conquest had built a civilization convinced of its absolute technological superiority. Now that belief lay in ruins, dismantled by a single vessel that operated with a level of precision that bordered on the miraculous. Krelax understood the deeper implications. This wasn't merely a military engagement. This was a fundamental challenge to the Zilarian Empire's entire conceptual understanding of technological development, space exploration, and interstellar conflict. "Reconstruct communication logs," he commanded, though he knew the request was nearly impossible. Lieutenant Vex's neural interfaces worked frantically. Fragments of data emerge, quantum encrypted transmissions that seemed to contain layers of information far beyond traditional communication protocols. It was as if the human vessel had been speaking an entirely different technological language. The electromagnetic storms of the Crimson Nebula continued to swirl outside, their chaotic energy a stark contrast to the precise technological deconstruction that had just occurred. Cosmic energies danced around the two vessels, one a testament to imperial might, now reduced to a technological skeleton, the other an enigma of unimaginable capability. Raquel's hands moved across fractured holographic interfaces. "The molecular reconstruction algorithms," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "They're unlike anything in our databases. It's as if they're writing and rewriting technological capabilities in real time." Sub-Commander Zarak's tactical analysis revealed the true depth of their defeat. The human vessel hadn't just neutralized their weapon systems. It had comprehensively mapped the Dominion's Reach's entire technological infrastructure, understanding their systems at a level that suggested something beyond conventional technological analysis. "They know us," Lieutenant Vex said, a profound realization cutting through her professional demeanor. "Not just our systems. Our entire technological philosophy." Krulax felt the weight of Imperial history crushing down. Generations of conquest, of technological development, of absolute belief in Solarian supremacy, all reduced to a fundamental misunderstanding of what technological capability truly meant. The U.S. Defiant maintained its position, surrounded by the cosmic energies of the Crimson Nebula. No additional communication, no further display of force. Its very existence was a statement more profound than any weapon. Fragments of intercepted human communication began to coalesce. Not military directives, not conquest protocols, but something far more complex. Discussions of technological development, of cooperative exploration, of understanding rather than subjugation. "Prepare preliminary communication reconstruction," Krulax commanded, understanding that everything had changed. The bridge of the Dominion's Reach had transformed from a center of imperial might to a laboratory of cosmic humility. One vessel had dismantled centuries of technological arrogance, revealing a universe far more complex than the Zolarian Empire had ever imagined. Outside, the electromagnetic storms continued their chaotic dance, indifferent to the momentous revelation that had just reshaped galactic understanding. The first human repair shuttle approached the Dominion's Reach with a precision that defied conventional expectations. No aggressive maneuvers, no additional displays of technological superiority. Just a calculated, almost gentle approach that suggested something far more complex than military conquest. Commander Krulax watched through fractured viewports, his neural implants struggling to process the unprecedented scenario. Imperial first contact protocols had never prepared him for mercy. The shuttle's exterior gleamed with a ceramic-like material that seemed to absorb and redistribute electromagnetic radiation. No visible weapon systems, no standard propulsion signatures, just pure functional design that spoke of a civilization more interested in problem-solving than intimidation. "Incoming communication," Lieutenant Vex announced, her voice carrying an unusual tremor of uncertainty. Captain James Harrison's transmission cut through the ship's damaged communication systems with crystal clarity, preparing medical and technical assistance. "Do not be alarmed. We mean no further harm." Sub-Commander Zarak's tactical systems ran multiple threat assessments. Each simulation returned the same impossible result: no hostile intent detected. The human vessel had completely neutralized the Zolarian ship's capabilities and was now offering assistance. The first human repair team that entered the Dominion's Reach moved with a fluidity that suggested something beyond standard technological adaptation. Not soldiers, not conventional repair specialists. They moved like problem solvers, each member carrying specialized equipment that seemed to adapt to the ship's damaged systems in real time. "We're here to help stabilize your critical systems," one of the human technicians announced, their universal translator rendering the words with a calm precision that felt almost surreal. Raquel, the junior navigator, watched in stunned silence as human repair drones began systematically addressing the most critical damage. These were not conventional repair mechanisms. They seemed to understand the Zolarian technological infrastructure at a molecular level, reconstructing systems with a speed and precision that bordered on miraculous. Krulax understood the deeper implications. This was not a conventional military engagement. This was something fundamentally different, a form of interaction that challenged every imperial understanding of first contact. Medical specialists began moving through the damaged sections of the ship. Their equipment seemed to analyze Illyrian physiological systems with a comprehensive understanding that suggested something far beyond standard xenobiological protocols. Your crew has suffered significant neural stress from the technological deconstruction, a human medical specialist reported. We're implementing quantum-level neural stabilization protocols. The electromagnetic storms of the Crimson Nebula continued to swirl outside, their chaotic energy a stark contrast to the methodical assistance being rendered inside the Dominion's reach. Lieutenant Vex's communication systems began to reconstruct more comprehensive data streams. Fragments of human communication revealed something profoundly unexpected. Discussions of mutual understanding, of technological exchange, of cooperative exploration. "We're not here to conquer," Captain Harrison's transmission explained. "We're here to understand. Your technological infrastructure contains remarkable innovations that could benefit multiple galactic civilizations." Sub-Commander Zirak found herself struggling with a concept entirely foreign to Imperial conditioning. The idea that technological superiority might be used for something other than subjugation. Human repair teams worked alongside surviving Zalarian crew members, their movements suggesting a level of cooperative interaction that defied Imperial understanding. No demands, no subjugation protocols, just a fundamental approach to problem-solving that treated the Zalarian crew as potential partners rather than conquered subjects. Krelax watched as critical ship systems began to stabilize, not through Imperial repair protocols, but through a collaborative approach that suggested a fundamentally different understanding of technological interaction. "Your quantum communication matrices," one human technician explained to a stunned Raquel, "contain remarkable potential for faster-than-light information transfer. We'd like to understand your approach." The bridge of the Dominion's reach had transformed from a site of military conflict to a laboratory of unexpected cooperation. One vessel had not just neutralized their technological capabilities, but was now offering a form of assistance that challenged everything the Zalarian Empire understood about interstellar interaction. Outside, the cosmic storms continued their chaotic dance, indifferent to the momentous exchange unfolding within their electromagnetic embrace. The conference room of the Dominion's reach had transformed into an unexpected sanctuary of interstellar diplomacy. Commander Krelax sat across from Captain James Harrison, two representatives of civilizations that moments ago had been locked in what seemed like an unwinnable conflict. Human technological specialists moved with an almost casual efficiency, setting up holographic displays that seemed to breathe with living information. Unlike Imperial projection systems, these interfaces appeared adaptive, changing in real time based on the conversation's subtle nuances. "Your quantum communication matrix," Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the lead human xenotechnological specialist, explained, "represents a breakthrough we've never encountered. The way your systems encode multidimensional information is revolutionary." Raquel, the junior navigator, watched in stunned silence. Imperial training had prepared him for conquest, for subjugation. Nothing had prepared him for this. Genuine scientific curiosity, a desire to understand rather than dominate. Lieutenant Vex's cybernetic interfaces worked overtime, translating not just words, but contextual layers of meaning. The human communication style defied Imperial linguistic protocols. They didn't just exchange information, they shared perspectives, invited collaboration, treated technological knowledge as a collective resource. Captain Harrison leaned forward, his movements deliberate and precise. "We're not here to take your technology," he explained. "We're here to understand how different civilizations solve complex problems." Sub-Commander Zirak's tactical systems, still recovering from the earlier conflict, struggled to process this approach. In Imperial doctrine, technological exchange meant controlled extraction, systematic deconstruction. The humans offered something entirely different: genuine partnership. The holographic displays began showcasing remarkable comparisons. Zalarian quantum communication technologies alongside human adaptive network systems. Two fundamentally different approaches that, when viewed together, suggested possibilities neither civilization had independently imagined. Your molecular reconstruction algorithms, Dr. Rodriguez continued, could revolutionize medical regeneration techniques across multiple species. The way you encode cellular memory is unlike anything in our databases. Krulax felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries: genuine intellectual excitement. The imperial system had calcified technological development into a rigid hierarchy of conquest. These humans suggested something radical: knowledge as a collaborative journey. Human specialists began demonstrating adaptive technologies that seemed to blur the line between engineering and living systems. Repair drones that could restructure themselves based on immediate environmental challenges. Communication systems that learned and evolved with each interaction. "We don't see technology as a weapon," Captain Harrison explained. "We see it as a tool for understanding, for solving complex systemic challenges." The electromagnetic storms of the Crimson Nebula continue to swirl outside, their chaotic energy a metaphor for the complex interaction unfolding within the Dominion's reach. Zilarian crew members watched in collective amazement as human specialists worked alongside them. No demands, no subjugation protocols, just a fundamental approach to problem-solving that treated technological challenges as collaborative opportunities. Dr. Rodriguez shared insights into human technological philosophy, how their most significant advances came not from competitive isolation, but from open collaboration, how diversity of thought was seen as a fundamental technological accelerant. "Your quantum entanglement communication systems," she explained to a mesmerized Raquel, "could potentially create instantaneous communication networks that transcend current technological limitations." Lieutenant Vex's neural interfaces began capturing layers of information that went beyond traditional data exchange. Cultural context, philosophical approaches, entire systems of thinking that transformed technological understanding from a competitive endeavor to a cooperative exploration. Sub-Commander Zirak found herself challenging everything she understood about technological development. The humans weren't just sharing technology. They were inviting the Zilarian Empire into a fundamentally different way of understanding scientific progress. "We've encountered over 47 spacefaring civilizations," Captain Harrison said, his tone carrying a mixture of hope and pragmatic realism. "Each one teaches us something new about the universe's complexity." The conference room had become more than a diplomatic space. It was a laboratory of potential, a meeting point of two civilizations that moments ago seemed irreconcilably different. Krulax looked at the holographic displays, at the human and Zilarian specialists working together, and understood that something profound was happening. This wasn't just a technological exchange. This was the potential birth of a new way of understanding interstellar civilization. Outside, the cosmic storms continued their eternal dance, indifferent to the momentous transformation unfolding within their electromagnetic embrace. 6 standard cycles after the encounter in the Crimson Nebula, the galactic community watched in collective amazement as the Zilarian Empire underwent its most profound transformation in millennia. The diplomatic vessel Horizon of Understanding, a joint human-Zilarian initiative, prepared for its maiden voyage. Commander Krulax stood on the bridge, now wearing a modified uniform that blended imperial design with human collaborative aesthetics. Gone were the rigid hierarchical markings. In their place, insignia that suggested partnership rather than domination. Lieutenant Vex, her cybernetic augmentations now enhanced with human adaptive technologies, monitored the ship's complex systems. Her neural interfaces no longer represented imperial control, but a new form of technological symbiosis that challenged every previous understanding of interspecies cooperation. "Quantum communication channels stabilized," she announced, her voice carrying a mixture of professional precision and genuine excitement. The communication systems represented something unprecedented, a network that didn't just transmit information, but actively sought to understand the contextual depth of each transmission. Raquel, now a lead diplomatic technologist, reviewed the mission parameters. The Horizon of Understanding would visit civilizations previously marked for imperial conquest, offering a fundamentally different approach to interstellar engagement. Captain James Harrison stood beside Krelax, their presence a living testament to the transformative power of genuine communication. The human approach hadn't just changed the Zalarian Empire, it had revealed potential paths of development that transcended traditional concepts of technological and cultural expansion. The electromagnetic archives documenting their initial encounter had become a pivotal text in multiple galactic academic institutions, not as a military record, but as a case study of how fundamental misunderstandings could be transformed into collaborative opportunities. Sub-Commander Zorak, now the lead strategic coordinator for the Joint Exploration Initiative, reviewed preliminary mission data. Their first destination, a cluster of developing civilizations that the Imperial system would have previously targeted for immediate subjugation. "We're not conquering," Zorak explained to a group of junior diplomatic officers. "We're offering collaborative potential. Each civilization has unique problem-solving approaches that could benefit the collective galactic community." The transformation went far beyond technological exchange. The Zalarian imperial philosophy, once built on absolute conquest, had been fundamentally reimagined. Knowledge was no longer a resource to be extracted, but a collaborative ecosystem to be nurtured. Human specialists had introduced concepts that seemed revolutionary to imperial thinking. Ecological restoration technologies, adaptive social systems that prioritized collective growth over individual dominance, technological development frameworks that saw diversity as a fundamental strength. Our previous approach, Krelax would often explain in diplomatic briefings, was a failure of imagination. We saw the universe as a resource to be conquered, not a complex system to be understood. The horizon of understanding represented more than a diplomatic vessel. It was a living symbol of a new approach to interstellar interaction. Its systems blended Zalarian quantum communication technologies with human adaptive network designs. Its crew represented a mixture of species, backgrounds, and philosophical approaches. Raquel's research had revealed something profound. The encounter in the Crimson Nebula wasn't just a military engagement. It was a fundamental reset of galactic potential. Diplomatic teams prepared reports that would have been unimaginable cycles ago. Technological exchange protocols that prioritized mutual understanding. Cultural preservation initiatives that saw diversity as a fundamental strength. Exploration models that approached new civilizations with curiosity rather than conquest. Captain Harrison often reflected on the unexpected nature of their initial encounter. "We didn't come to fight," he would explain. "We came to understand. And in understanding, we found something far more valuable than victory." The vessel's holographic system displayed a real-time map of potential exploration routes. Each potential destination wasn't marked as a target for conquest, but as an opportunity for collaborative discovery. Lieutenant Vex's neural interfaces captured the subtle emotional undertones of the mission. Not just data transmission, but genuine emotional context. The humans had introduced a radical concept, that technological and cultural exchange was fundamentally an emotional, collaborative process. As the horizon of understanding prepared to leave its home system, Commander Krelax looked out at the cosmic expanse. The universe seemed different now, not a battlefield to be conquered, but a complex ecosystem of potential waiting to be understood. The electromagnetic storms of distant nebulae continued their eternal dance, indifferent to the momentous transformation that had begun with a single unexpected encounter. Epilogue. Some say it was chance. Others call it destiny. But the first contact between humans and the Zalarian Empire had rewritten the fundamental understanding of interstellar civilization. A chapter written not in the language of conquest, but in the complex dialect of mutual respect and shared potential.